They warned her never to go near the river at night, but the princess did not listen. And there, she met him. Not a man. Not a villager. But a spirit boy. She loved him in secret, until the kingdom found out. And then, everything changed. Watch before the gods take it down. The kingdom of Obima was famed across the lands for its rich farmlands and its people's joy. Every festival season, the skies seemed to open with blessings, and the rivers never ran dry. But above all, Obima was known for its princess, Chimamanda, a maiden whose beauty and kindness had no equal. Chimamanda was not only admired for her glowing skin, her hair braided with cowries, and her eyes that sparkled like morning dew. She was beloved for her heart. She sat among children in the market square to tell them stories, she visited the poor with gifts of food, and she never turned away a beggar at the palace gates. Yet, despite all her beauty and grace, her heart was restless. Her father, King Okoro, had promised her hand to princes and warriors from neighboring kingdoms, but Chimamanda refused them all. "Why do you turn them away?" her mother, Queen Ifeanyi, asked one night as they sat by the fire. "Because, mother," Chimamanda whispered, "my heart feels empty. I do not want a husband whose pride is louder than his love, or whose sword speaks louder than his soul. I want a love that feels true, even if it comes from a stranger's heart." Her mother sighed, for she feared her daughter's words would anger the gods. For in Igbo land, it was said, the heart may wander where the body cannot follow. One evening, during the New Yam festival, Chimamanda slipped away from the noise of drums and flutes. She walked to the riverbank, where the moon's reflection lay shimmering like silver on water. There, as she sang softly to herself, a voice answered her song. She stopped, her heart quickening. "Who is there?" she called. From the shadows of the forest emerged a young man. He was unlike any she had ever seen, tall, with smooth dark skin that glowed faintly under the moonlight. His eyes shimmered like stars, and his smile was gentle, almost too perfect. He wore no rich garments, only a simple white cloth tied at his waist. "I am Obina," he said softly. "Your song called me." Chimamanda's lips parted in wonder. She should have run, for no stranger lingered by the river at night without purpose. But something in his presence stilled her fears. And so, they sat by the river until dawn, speaking of the world, of dreams, of loneliness. By the time the cocks crowed, Chimamanda knew her heart had found its answer. They met often in secret, at the river, in the grove, beneath the udala tree. Chimamanda's laughter rang freely in Obina's company, and he looked upon her as if she were the only star in his sky. But Obina never followed her back to the palace. "Why do you not come?" she asked one night. He looked away, his eyes clouded. "Because I do not belong to your world." "What do you mean?" she pressed. But he would not say. He only took her hands and whispered, "If you knew, you might fear me." Chimamanda shook her head. "Nothing in this world could make me fear the one my heart has chosen." Yet, in her soul, a seed of worry began to grow. It was the palace cook who first noticed. Chimamanda glowed more than ever, her steps lighter, her song sweeter. The maidservants whispered, "Our princess is in love." But one night, as she returned from the river, her maidservant saw something strange. When Obina stepped into the moonlight, his shadow vanished. Terrified, she told the queen. Queen Ifeanyi confronted her daughter. "Chimamanda, who is this boy you sneak away to meet? Is he of noble blood?" "He is nobler than any prince," Chimamanda answered firmly. "But you would not understand." The queen's face hardened. "Bring him here. If he loves you, let him face your father's court." That night, Chimamanda begged Obina to come with her. He hesitated, pain in his eyes. "If I enter the palace, your people will know what I am," he warned. "Then let them know," she said, gripping his hand. "For love is no crime." The next morning, Obina followed her into the palace. The courtiers gasped, Never had they seen such beauty in a man. But when he stood before the king, the truth was revealed. The high priest raised his staff and cried out, "This one is no man. He is mere, a spirit, a child of the other world." The whole erupted in fear. Women clutched their wrappers, warriors reached for their spears. But Chimamanda ran to Obina's side. "He is no demon. He is my beloved." The king thundered, "A spirit cannot marry a princess. If you bind yourself to him, you do most awe." Obina lowered his head. "It is true. I am the son of the river goddess. When you sing, Chimamanda, your voice reaches my world." That is how we met. Gasps filled the hall. The king trembled with fury. "Leave, spirit boy, before I have you bound in chains of iron." But Chimamanda clung to him. "If he leaves, I will go with him." The priest performed a ritual to sever them. At midnight, they drew a circle of chalk, placed charms of iron and bitter kola, and chanted incantations to drive Obina away. The river roared, the palace shook, and before Chimamanda's eyes, Obina was dragged back into the mist. "Obina," she screamed, clawing at the air. But he was gone. From that night, Chimamanda refused food and sleep. She grew pale, her laughter silenced. The people pitied her, but the king was unyielding. "She will forget," he said. But she did not. One night, unable to bear it, Chimamanda fled the palace. She followed the river's course deep into the forest, seeking the world where Obina had been taken. Her feet bled, her body weakened, but her spirit burned strong. At last, she collapsed by a stream, and there, an old woman appeared, wrapped in glowing white. "Child, why do you suffer so?" the woman asked. "I seek the spirit boy who holds my heart," Chimamanda whispered. "If I must cross to his world, I will." The woman's eyes softened. "Love such as yours is rare. But the worlds of spirit and flesh are not meant to mix. Still, I will help you." She gave Chimamanda a gourd of sacred water. "Drink this at the river's heart. If his love is true, he will find you." Chimamanda journeyed on until she reached the sacred lake, where the river goddess was said to dwell. She poured the gourd into the waters and sang the song that had once called Obina. The lake rippled, glowing silver. Out of it rose Obina, more radiant than ever, his eyes filled with both love and sorrow. "Chimamanda," he said, "why have you come? You do not belong here." "I belong where my heart is," she replied. "If it means staying in your world, then let it be so." Tears shimmered in his eyes. "If you stay, you can never return. Your body will fade into spirit. You will lose your people, your throne, your crown." She stepped closer, taking his hands. "What is a crown to me, if I cannot share it with you?" The waters parted, and the river goddess herself emerged, tall, majestic, her hair flowing like waves, her eyes deep as the ocean. "Daughter of men," she spoke, her voice like rushing water, "your love has shaken the boundary of words. Few would give up a throne for love. But are you truly ready?" Chimamanda knelt. "I am." The goddess turned to Obina. "And you, son of the river, are you ready to bind your fate to flesh, knowing it may weaken your power?" Obina bowed his head. "I am." The goddess studied them, then smiled faintly. "Then let it be so. The worlds shall meet for you. But remember, love is both blessing and burden." She lifted her hands, and a light enveloped them. When Chimamanda and Obina emerged from the lake, they were changed. Obina's glow dimmed to that of a mortal man, though his beauty remained. Chimamanda's body pulsed with a faint shimmer of spirit, her steps light as wind. Hand in hand, they returned to Obima. The people gasped at their return, but when they saw that neither gods nor ancestors struck them down, their fear softened. The king, weary and humbled, wept at the sight of his daughter's joy. "Perhaps the gods see what I could not. If they have blessed this union, who am I to resist?" The palace erupted in cheers. Drums thundered, flutes sang, and women ululated as the lovers were wedded. In time, Chimamanda became queen, and Obinna her king consort. Together, they ruled with wisdom and compassion. It was said that whenever she sang by the river, the waters rippled in joy, for her voice still carried between words. The griots sang of their tale in marketplaces and moonlit gatherings. The princess sought not crown nor wealth, but the heart that beat for her alone. The spirit boy left the river's depth to walk with love upon the throne. So let no man scorn the power of song, for even words apart cannot silence love. And so their love endured, not by force of sword or law, but by the courage of two hearts that defied words to find one another.